This is the Swarm and Shoot football show with me, Manny Matsakis, the head football coach at Defiance College. We feature Defiance College football and everything that influences our program. This show is brought to you by our friends at Big Beat Coffee right across campus on North Clinton Street. I'm actually having a cup right now, so everybody check it out on YouTube, and you can see the video of the cup and how delicious this beverage is. Get the finest coffee beverages, even tea, in Defiance, as well as great pastries, breakfast sandwiches to start your day off, and you can even get a pick-me-up like a lot of our coaching staff does in the afternoon. I'd also like to bring on board the maker of this fine apparel right here, and not just Nike, but we're talking about BSN Sports, all right? I'd like to bring on board our latest sponsor, BSN Sports, and Rob Held and his sales team are the professionals you need to get in touch with for all your sporting goods and apparel needs in Ohio. Not only do they work with high school and college sports teams, they also deliver outstanding apparel to businesses so they can brand themselves in a first-class manner. This is episode number 38. Our special guest today is Earnest Wilson, our Superbacks coach here at Defiance College. Today's topic is regarding the development of our running back position. And, the Superback must possess skills far beyond the standard running back. I've seen some great Superbacks from Chuck Witherspoon at the University of Houston, Brian Shea at Emporia State, and the ultimate Barry Sanders of the Detroit Lions. When you've got a great one, they can take a game over as long as you got a really good offensive line that you're working with, because there's never a great back without a good offensive line, as we'll be talking about here. Coach Wilson, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be here. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about the Superback position, and, that's something that we call it. And when guys come in here, they come in as running backs, fullbacks, H-backs, all these different things that they're playing in high school. And when you initially get a group of these guys, how do you assess where they are starting on their journey to becoming a Superback?
I think, number one, it starts with your recruiting. When you go into the home or when they come on a visit and you start interviewing them, I watch their film, I talk to their coach. Usually sometime during the recruiting, I'll talk to their coach. We talk about, I'll do things on the field like agility drills and see how fluid they are. And, finally, just from doing even classroom, working in the classroom and seeing how they take notes, see how they watch film. And so you can really, as your back, just like that.
Yeah, you can really figure these guys out. And that's really what we're trying to do, because they come in, the skill sets are so different. I mean, it's almost like right now I see us, we put guys in certain situations, we roll guys in, a lot of guys get to play as they're developing. And at some point, somebody gets a hot hand and they're out there, doing a good job for us. But in the initial stages of developing these Superbacks, what skills are you developing?
Well, initially, I'm trying to look at their, when I first come out to practice, I work on their agilities, working on their quickness. You got to hit the hole hard, or do you have to hit it slow? Do you have to be quick through the hole, et cetera? So I'm working on drills that will make them better that way. I'm working on their speed. I'm working on their toughness. I'm trying to see. Nowadays, you see, our problem right now is you get a lot of backs that don't have certain proper training in high school. You got a guy that may not be able to block. You may get a guy that, never ran the ball like we do.
Gotcha.
So there's many things that can't pass pro. So you see a lot of things that you got to work on initially. Yeah,
and you're right. I mean, and we see it here often because it's like they come in, they're very one-dimensional.
Yes.
You get a guy and say, "Hey, I'm a really good blocker, but he's not a great runner." Or I can run, but I can't block anybody. And it is I mean, it is a balancing act.
Oh, definitely.
As we get in the game, and until these guys start to develop as what we would call a well-rounded superback that can do all this stuff. So going into some of these skills, one, we talk about being a pass protector, because back in the original days of the run and shoot offense, that superback position was one that was like where they took, like, here's the tight end, I'm going to put him in the backfield, and he's the sixth offensive lineman. That's how it started. It's like they weren't worried about him running the ball because they just needed the other guy protecting. Right? So when it comes to being a great pass protector, what are some of the drills you use to develop that?
Well, there's three main parts to blocking. I always talk to the young men, physical parts, your eyes, your hands, and your feet. So you got to be really good at, like we had talked about earlier, agilities. But, there's another part that I look for as a blocker, and that's the mental aspects of everything. And, it really, it bottoms down to, it goes down to the bottom of a want-to attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to want to do it. I look for toughness, knowing where the man, they got to understand certain things, like where's the man at when it comes to blocking. And then finally, the bottom line, I always tell them, I don't care how big you are or how small you are, and it goes back to the want-to attitude, but I want you to be between the defender and the passer when the ball is thrown.
That's right.
Now you've done your job.
That simplified it right there.
Yes,
keep him from getting to the quarterback. Right? That's a
yes.
good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. So these guys are pass protectors.
Yeah.
How about as far as developing these guys to be better at rushing the football? Because you made a good point earlier. It's like there's different styles of running. You know, some of these guys, you get the Le'Veon Bells of the world that can sort of slow it in, boom, and then break off of the blocks. But I think some of that's dictated by the way their offensive line can block, and once they get on you, you're in trouble, Yes. But then there's the slashers. There's the guys that can hit around the end, and you've got all these different styles. But how do you develop them to become better at rushing? How do you get their strengths better and handle their weaknesses?
Running with the ball is a unique type of thing. I always try to tell people it's like you said, all those different type of guys, but they got to develop their all-around game. And I have drills like for the running, like pass pro. I was going to talk to you about pass pro, but running, first of all, when you take the ball, I tell them you got to get to the end zone. Mm-hmm. But you don't take yourself to the end zone. You take the ball to the end zone. That's how the game's played.
Mm-hmm.
So, I always talk about number one is your ball protection. Protecting the ball, taking it to the end zone. And I have different drills that I like to do. And I think that the drills I give develop the ball carrier to be an all-around ball carrier. You want to be able to protect the ball. And I don't use the word fumble because we don't want to put negative thoughts in their head.
That's right.
But we do rip drill, we do the gauntlet drill, we do blaster, we do one-hand spin drill. Where's the ball at in the time of contact or when you're running or might accidentally stumble?
Yeah.
So we always want to make sure that he understands that he got to protect the ball. Even basic drill, quarterback, running back exchange drill. So you want to be able to do those things and make it a comfort zone, but not a comfort zone when he's carrying the ball, because he got to protect that piece of that bread, that loaf of bread.
Oh yeah,
Mama said to bring home. We work on taking it the distance and practice. I always tell the ball carriers, if you're beyond the 50-yard line, I want the ball sprinted to the end zone. Get used to long runs.
You're talking in practice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
and if you're behind the 50-yard line or going up to the 50-yard line, I want it sprinted to the 50-yard line. Get used to long runs. Get used to a certain speed that you got to go at all times. If you sit there and you jog, I hate when I watch practice when a guy gets the ball and he jogs 5 or 10 yards after he hits the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
And then coach blows the whistle and it's over with. No, it's not over with.
No.
He's not going to be prepared to have long runs.
Yeah.
We had that problem our first year. Remember when we had certain backs that just didn't know what to do when they got in the open field.
Yeah,
And that
sometimes
was
they'd
one
stumble and fall in the game. It's like, what, But you got to train that, and I think that's what you're alluding to right now.
Yes.
And being a great rusher is that. It's funny. I digress. You take me back a little bit when I was at Emporia State, and I had, the guy that Brian Shea when I was there, and fantastic, Superback. I mean, a guy that was. Small, short, but explosive.
Shot out like a cannon.
Oh man, you watch his film. He was like 5'9", 220. He was 40 time was low 4.4s. I remember he could power clean, shoot from the ground up 405 pounds for a triple.
Yes,
that's pretty amazing. And explosive. Played in the NFL, played in the World League back then, and XFL. He played in the XFL, in the original XFL. And when you think about a guy like that, it's like I remember his freshman year. We had about 4 or 5 Superbacks in training camp, and we always told them what you're talking about: run to the end zone, and he'd always do it. Well, after a couple games, he ends up winning the job, and everybody else wasn't playing Superback. They all, hey, I'm a linebacker. Because they see how good this kid is, right? And then all of a sudden, okay, he's running. We're out 50 yards, and he's running to the end zone, and I got because he's the only back I got. So it's like, hey, hold on. So we started practicing closer to the end zone or back because he hit the skill level he developed was built in practice because he's a great practice player, which, gets me to an interesting point. And I know you believe this, but it's interesting how many guys call themselves gamers. Oh, I'll do it in the game, coach.
No.
Is that even possible? What is that?
No, it's not possible. But you've been around. You played running back in high school.
Oh, good God.
And I played running back. And the thing is that it comes with reps.
Yeah.
Working at a certain intensity.
Yeah.
At all times, because once you get out there and your blood's going, adrenaline's going, and everything else, if you're not practicing ball skills, if you're not practicing running hard, you're going to get fast, you're going to get gassed, you're going to start making mistakes. So I don't believe in that gamer stuff.
No, I've never seen it work. It's a very bizarre thought process. But, in this day and age, it's like, guys, it's just, getting after it, working hard. Taking pride in your work ethic is so important, and I like that we call it a Superback position. Not everybody does that. I think people ask, well, what is it that this guy is? And he's just not just a running back, and he has to have all the skill sets of a great back. What do you think? There's some young running backs that are going to be Superbacks coming to training camp this year, and the one thing about that position is guys can play early in their career at that position, more than maybe the big guys, the linemen and stuff. Sometimes they seem to play here, but most of the times those guys take some time to mature in their bodies. But a back oftentimes can become a really good back in a short period of time if he comes in and compete. Now, what can these guys do in the summer to get ready for training camp?
Well, like you said, number one, you got to master your skills. You gotta. You can't just sit around and be. I was a good runner in high school. You understand that. As a Superback, as we say, there's 5 things or so that you gotta be able to block. What you talked about. You gotta be able to run the ball. You gotta be able to catch, and you gotta know protections. You gotta know almost everything. You gotta know run schemes. You gotta know almost everything. People always talk about, do I have a chance to go to the pros? Well, if you don't have a chance, if you're trying to go to the pros, or you're trying to be All-American or be the starter, you got to know that. But I always talk to the guys about the 4 A's. The alignments. You got to understand alignments, assignments, adjustments, and then I say finally have the right attitude. And the thing that kind of bothers me sometimes when guys come in, they said, I didn't practice that. I spent all my time doing this.
Yeah.
And I said, but you knew the offense. Why did you not practice where you were going to be at a certain time? We talked about this already, being in shape. being conditioned. If coach sends you a strength and conditioning manual, you follow it to a T. That goes back to discipline and focus. You must follow that to the T. You must eat right. You must do everything right in order to be the best you can be when called upon. I always say we already talked about practice blocking, running, practice routes. You don't know what coach is going to have you do. You know we go no back sometime. Yeah. Hey, be that guy out there. Be that guy out there. Don't let him look at you before he looks at a receiver. And you got to do that a million times. Yeah. You got to feel comfortable out there. So those are things that I talk about. I talk about improving football IQ, watching film, reading books. Yeah. Kids don't read books nowadays. You remember we used to read books. They look at ESPN. Yeah, we read books.
There's some good stuff on ESPN. I get it. All these 30 for 30s and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I agree. Read the books. Put good thoughts in your mind. You're going to come in training camp in good shape. And Coach, as we move ahead and we get ready for training camp and all these things that are happening, I'm super excited about the position you coach. And we've got some great guys returning, guys that are going to develop very well in spring ball, and I think you have a very, very competitive training camp. So I hope that for everybody out there, our fans and our future Yellow Jackets out there, this visit with Coach Wilson has demystified how we're putting together the Superback position. And how it's going to be a core to building a championship offensive unit here at Defiance College. Hey, Coach, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for joining us on this latest episode of the Swarm and Shoot Football Show. If you're listening to this podcast, make sure to subscribe in iTunes, give us a rating, comment on the show. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell in the top corner there, so you can get notifications when we release the next show. Feel free to comment below on a specific show, and we'll answer those questions as we need to. If you'd like to step up to the next level and get all kinds of updates, go to our website, swarmandshoot.com, where you'll get up-to-date alerts on all of our podcasts. You'll have the audio on there. There's actually a video player where you can scroll through each and every episode that we have of the podcast from the YouTube version. So you never really have to leave the site. You'll also see some features on various players, our coaching staff bios, all types of things going on in our program, when our golf scramble is, different fundraisers we do, just insights for you that take you to that next level, which is what swarmandshoot.com will do for you. Take a minute and subscribe with your email. When you log on, there'll actually probably be a pop-up about 6 seconds into it, and it gives you a chance to go in, and that will put you into our email database. So every time we update, you get an email knowing that we're basically set to go on the next episode of the podcast or any news that's coming out. Appreciate you supporting the program, and look forward to a wonderful season.